All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jessica Martin with Martin Management. I have Peter here with me from Joseph Rossi and Associates. Peter, tell us your last name. I didn't want to butcher it.
Sure. No, yeah. It's Cangialosi. I know it looks a little more intimidating than it sounds, but it's Cangialosi.
Awesome. Thank you. And Peter is the vice president of Joseph Rossi and Associates, and they are a real estate company that really focuses on healthcare, and dentistry being one of those top healthcare industries that you work with. So thank you so much for joining me, Peter.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. So let's start off with, let's tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you work primarily in Illinois, but what do we know? What do we know about you? What do we need to know about you?
Yeah. So I've been working in real estate for almost 13 years now. Kind of started off in something completely outside of healthcare as far as real estate's concerned, managing and selling foreclosures, helping people conventionally rent, sell, or buy, and then transitioned into commercial real estate, which then led us into a niche, right? And here we are doing healthcare real estate. It's tough. It's tough working in real estate when you are competing against everybody looking to lease out to Jimmy John's or do something like that. So we found a focus and kind of fell into it. As far as we got hired by a consultant at one point, and it kind of snowballed from there as far as the dental real estate's concerned. So, but as far as myself, married, no kids. So a lot of time to work and help the dentist out, right? And here to help everybody with their real estate needs and transition needs.
Awesome. Well, I love that because when you buy a building, or you're leasing a building for dentistry, it is very specific. Like, our needs are much different than traditional office space. So I love that you can be an expert in that and help people determine, what they need and if a space will work for them. So
Right.
what you kind of explained how you got into the healthcare niche. I guess how do you feel like your services versus like another commercial realtor that doesn't
Sure.
have that healthcare faucus, how can that benefit dentists looking for real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we come across plenty of scenarios where, they're using, Aunt Kim to help them find space, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there is at the same time, right? Because we're experienced in this field, so we understand the unique needs of the doctor and how to help them achieve that goal, whether they're starting their practice, they're relocating it, renewing their lease, expanding. We understand what it takes to get that project done, even outside of a real estate perspective, and putting the pieces together for them and help them facilitate the project itself. When I walk into a space, I'm going straight to the electrical box because I know I need 200 amps of power so that we can power this equipment. I know that I need to find out what that HVAC looks like because I know I need 300 square feet per ton, right, for a dental office, right? So there's those little things that we look out for that at the end of the day can cost the doctor thousands of dollars, right? And beyond that, we understand what portion of the project that they need the most help in. And, I typically do the startup project more than anything. So that's a very large project that requires a large sums of money to get done. So my job here is to negotiate on the tenant's behalf, which is the doctor, right? And so I'm here to help the doctor get tenant improvement allowance, right, for the project, because these construction projects aren't cheap, right? So I get the landlord to pitch in for that. And then also I'm here to help the doctor in the beginning with things like rent abatement, right? So it's not day one that you're paying rent. I'm here to negotiate those terms so that you can kind of gradually get into the motion of the business and not have to pay large sums of rent and notes day one, right? And so that's what kind of separates us is just our past transactional history and really understanding what the doctor's needs are. We've done this over 200 times now, so we're super familiar with how to get it done.
Wonderful. Okay. And I know our listeners are from all over the country, so you work primarily like locally in the Illinois area, but how can you help other doctors throughout the nation?
Yeah. So as far as our services are concerned, that brings you to the lease renewal, right? I want to touch a little bit on that. As far as the lease renewal is concerned, doctors 76% of doctors are actually overpaying for their lease. That's what we found out from research, right? And so when lease renewal time comes around, the doctor just, it feels like they just need to sign, move on, go back to their practice. Well, that's not the case. At that point in time is when you get a professional like us involved. We'll talk to your landlord and we'll start negotiating new terms for the next 5 years of your lease or the next 10 years of your lease. And that's something that we can do remotely throughout the country, and it's important that the doctor knows that, because if you just sign and move on with your day, then that's what you did. You signed and moved on with your day, right? But if you get somebody that can dissect your lease a little bit, we're here to negotiate a brand new term, right? And a lot of doctors don't realize they have that type of opportunity. So at that point in time, if the office needs some upgrading or whatever the case is, even if you want a new piece of technology or equipment or whatnot, we're here to negotiate dollars from the landlord to keep that relationship going and just make sure that you're making those good business decisions moving forward. And that's, again, something that we can help out across the board with.
Okay, awesome. So tell us your top tips for doctors when they're looking at practice real estate in general. Like maybe it's common pitfalls, or just things that you feel would be beneficial for them to know from all that you've learned in working with
Sure.
healthcare real estate.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest pitfall I see is that the doctor's going straight to the landlord to negotiate their lease. At the end of the day, the landlord doesn't have the doctor's interest, right? They want the most money as possible. They want to give you the least money as possible. We're the counter to that. And it's important that you have representation, whether it be me or somebody in your market, whatever it is. It's important that you have some sort of representation and someone negotiating on your behalf. As far as real estate presence is concerned, the model of the general dentist being tucked away in a third-story office building with no exposure is dead, right? It's the kiss of death. So it's important that, you're securing real estate that's going to serve your practice today, 5 years, 10, 15 years down the line. And the trend is retail, right? And it's important to have exposure, signage, parking, so that you're going to be able to compete with these other doctors that are coming into the market. And I speak heavily on that with more of the general dentists and even the orthodontists too. They're coming out of that setting and they're coming into more retail type presence. Your endodontist, your prosthodontist, your oral surgeon, they're okay with being in the office building and the medical buildings because they're very heavy referral based, and it's okay. I think, a doctor looking for kind of, the cheap way out and saying, hey, I found this medical space. It was already built out. Let me go here. I mean, at that point, you're really just suffering yourself. You're suffocating yourself. It's important that you take the project on and have confidence in doing it, because the real estate is really what's going to serve your practice. It's important to be anchored by grocery stores, fitness centers, national tenants, other medical tenants that are in the area to help serve the practice. I think those are the main things that doctors need to look for when they're searching for locations.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marketing thing, right? It's hard to stay top of mind if you're tucked away somewhere where nobody knows you're there. You're going to have to do more things to really get out in front of your audience and remind them, hey, we're here and this is what we do. And if you're kind of in that location where they're constantly, seeing your signage and they're seeing people coming and going, that's going to obviously help with those efforts.
Absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, it makes the practice more marketable. Like you said, it makes it transferable as well. Life changes. You don't know if you need to sell your practice or if you're going to get up and move to a warmer state or whatever the case may be. It's important that you have something that's transferable and it's going to be worth something. Your real estate has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that leads me to a question that I didn't plan, but it came to my mind. So when a doctor's looking to get out of the business, let's say, and maybe they've sold their practice and they don't need to keep the real estate for whatever reason, are you seeing that is it difficult to sell a dental office, with all the unique things that we require? Is that a good investment? Like, is that part of the picture at the end? Or is it like, well, because it was so unique, it's going to be hard to sell to another type of industry, for example?
Yeah, I mean, as far as unique, I mean, you mean particularly like the actual piece of real estate, whether it's in a shopping center or it's an own piece of standalone building. Yeah, I mean, there's different options that doctors have when they're selling their practice and as far as their real estate concerned. Okay. They can hold on to if they own the real estate, they can hold on to it, lease it back to the new dentist. If
Hmm.
they're looking to sell their practice and they're looking to sell the real estate at once, that's an option too. But sometimes what we see is that the new doctor doesn't want to
Hmm.
buy the real estate, right?
Right.
And that's actually another service that we provide as well, is what's called the sale leaseback service. So what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll offer to purchase the real estate and lease it back to the new doctor. So, I don't want anybody to ever think that their real estate's going to get in the way, because it won't. There's always an avenue to take that can make the transition seamless, right? But as far as you know, the difference of having your office from the 1970s and something from more modern today is really going to be the difference in whether or not it's going to be marketable and transferable to the next doctor. Because if, as a buying doctor, sure, I'm looking at the financials of the practice, I understand the health of it, and I'm going to move forward, right? But a lot of doctors, what they don't do is they don't look at the capital improvements that are necessary within the next 3 to 5 years, right? And those can be very expensive improvements, So if you have something that's already there today, it's gonna move much quicker.
Absolutely. And we both know how important aesthetics are, right? I mean, that's part of what I can offer my clients is really decor advice and putting those spot elements in place to make it an amazing experience and make it be a place people want to go and not dread to go. And looking at your website, I was telling you before we got on the recording, like you have some beautiful offices that you've worked with that really have so many great design elements and really are standing out in just their, in the look of the practice. So that's really going to become a way to differentiate as well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, patients are going to judge. I mean, it is what it is, and you gotta create that experience like you do, Jessica. You know what I mean? And I think it's important that to do that and set yourself apart and compete today. You know.
Yeah. Awesome. Anything else, Peter, that you think would be helpful for people to know?
Yeah, I mean, stay confident. It seems like areas feel like they're getting oversaturated, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the numbers. It comes down to how dense a location is and whether or not there's room for more doctors in that area. So get the facts, stay confident, and you'll be in good shape.
Awesome. Well, Peter, if anybody wants to reach you, what would be the best way to do that?
Sure. So my direct line is 630-885-3994. You can call me or text me at any time. Happy to talk. And then my email is Pete, P-E-T-E, at jrossyandassociates.com. And then our website, of course, is www.jrossyandassociates.com. Be happy if you guys check this out.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it.